How can I help you, miss?
Yes, I'd like to make a roast tonight.
Sounds heavenly. Are we talking chuck or round?
Rump, please. For 3.
Okay. So, you passing through?
Oh, I actually just moved in. I suppose I do really stick out around here.
Gosh, no, I didn't mean it that way. It's just been here a lot of years. You see the same faces day in, day out. It's nice to have a little bit of variety. Stan Kirsch. Kids call me Stanley Cleaver.
Cute. Well, I'm Charlotte Hanlon.
Well, welcome to Derry, Mrs. Hanlon.
Thank you.
Get him!
Why is no one stopping this?
Boys will be boys.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
And I'm Sam.
Today, we are covering episode 2 of HBO Max's new show, Welcome to Derry, titled The Thing in the Dark. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast. So if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out after you've finished watching. And before we get into the specifics of the episode, Mandy and I just want to give a big welcome to Sam. Sam has become a very dear friend of mine. I met her through podcasting with Penny and Kara on Still Slang, which you hear me mention often on this podcast. So she agreed to come on with us and cover this episode. So hello and welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Aw, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. You ladies are powerhouses. I loved listening to the first episode, and you actually changed my mind about the first episode.
Ooh.
I wanted to talk to you about that. I'm glad to hear that. We got to get into that.
Yeah, you like it really helped shift how I was looking at the episode and even going into episode 2. So you ladies are amazing at this. So I just really appreciate even being here. Thank you.
We're so glad.
You're so welcome.
Sam will be back to join us when the pit comes back out. So
Woohoo!
You're stuck with us, kid.
Oh,
you're a smart, fun lady. I love talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. The 3 of us together, 3 minds.
Yeah. We might be on here until tomorrow morning.
This might be a 17-hour podcast. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So episode 2 was written by Austin Guzman and directed by Andy Machete. Did we decide that was how his name was pronounced?
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize to him for butchering it multiple times in the first episode.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't even notice.
Well,
my maiden name was Bro. I'm sorry, Mr. Machete, but I feel your pain.
Oh.
You know, but we're all just doing our best.
Well, I'm sure he's listening. So
right. And hopefully learning a lot about his own show.
Right. Yeah. Because that's what we're here for. Well, dear Sam, as our special guest, would you like to read this always lengthy synopsis for this episode?
Absolutely. The police investigate Hank Grogan, whom they blame for the children's murder and disappearance. Major Hanlon suspects that his attack was orchestrated by Soviet spies, while Sergeant Masters is incarcerated for the crime. Charlotte Hanlon and son Will arrive in Derry. Charlotte's demeanor about their new home can be described as cautiously optimistic. Walking through town, she tries to break up an attack by menacing teens and a young boy, but receives disapproving looks from the adults. Ronnie has a horrifying vision of her deceased mother.
That's an understatement.
Yes, it is.
We all had a horrifying vision of Ronnie's deceased mother.
That scene. The army searches the woods for something with the help of Dick Halloran while being watched by Native Americans. Ronnie tells Lily about her terrifying nightmare. Leroy's son, Will, has some difficulty adjusting, but he becomes friends with Rich and Ronnie. Chief Clint Bowers blackmails Lily, and the police arrest Hank forcing Ronnie to confront Lily at her house. Hanlon becomes increasingly suspicious and eventually proves Masters could not have been his attacker. General Shaw tells Major Hanlon that he orchestrated the assault to test him, as he'd heard the Major was incapable of feeling fear after an injury in Korea. He tells him that only he can recover a weapon that inspires terror in everyone. After another vision, Lily returns to Juniper Hill, a psychiatric hospital. The army finds a car with corpses inside, a beacon to locate the weapon.
All right, well, that's our episode.
We will see you guys next time.
We're all done here.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, this episode, let's dive right into it because I have a lot to say, mainly just about the intro. I might just sign off after we talk about the intro, and y'all can just let me know when we're done recording.
You told me before we started that the intro kind of went over for you the first time you watched.
Well, I didn't watch it. I usually skip the intro.
Oh.
Okay. Oh man, if I'd known that, I'd have been blowing you up because that was the thing that I was the most focused on with the first watch because it blew my doors off. Like it was just so cool.
It was so awesome.
So the reason we found this intro so interesting is because it was packed full of Easter eggs that relate to the book, to the original It, and the 2000s movies. So if you are fans of the lore, then you would have caught a lot of the things that we saw in here. Some of it even came up in this episode. So I just want to go through it all. All right, so first we meet Paul Bunyan, the giant Paul Bunyan, which plays a huge role in the book. Does it show up in the...
It shows up in the movies.
Yeah.
God, I just need to break down and watch those.
If you like this series, it's really not as bad. I think you would really like the first movie because it ties into what you like about the nostalgia, the storylines like you like in the book. I think you would really like the first movie especially. The second movie's good too, but I think you would really connect to the friendships and the kids' storylines. It's not all scary stuff.
Yeah.
I'll commit to... No, we're running short on daylight hours now, so I'll have to probably watch it at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't watch this stuff at night. That's why I hate that this show comes out on Sunday night. It's the last thing I watch before I go to bed because I can't not watch it. And my dreams have been like, hey, you've been watching crazy shit. So let's just make your sleep even weirder.
Oh, no.
It's all good. So we get Paul Bunyan and we get the missing kid poster by the drain. And I will double check next time I watch, but I felt like that little girl had pigtails and it made me think of Susie. We get the Nebal house, the abyss creature, which plays a big part in the storytelling in the book. You see when the kids are playing, there's Juniper Hill and there's this nuclear explosion. But in the nuclear explosion, when all the kids are under their desk, you do see its arm. That one kid is like, hey, we're getting vaporized. But look, there's a clown hand, which would have been you. We get the shootout scene of the Bradley gang. And Pennywise was shooting one of the guns out of one of the windows, which really made me think of the book and how the genre as a whole and how Pennywise is inside of all of these people, causing them to act the way they do. I just thought that was a very cool thing to slide in there. And then the last big thing I noticed was the Ironworks fire that happened in Easter. So I really hope we get 2 more seasons where they get to walk this back to the beginning.
Same.
Remember last episode I told you that there was a bunny that was on the graffiti?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the bunny was in that scene as well. Yeah. I wasn't quite sure. Like I knew it looked like Pennywise and that there's just this underlying motif of Pennywise being a lot of different guises and he always has like those bunny teeth though. But I had forgotten that happened on Easter. So that makes sense now.
I totally forgot that too. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love these little like love letters to fans of Stephen King. Like these little like the Maturin shout out, my favorite old man turtle.
Oh yeah.
There's just little things for us that, I mean, you can tell Andy and his sister Barbara just really respect the series. So I appreciate it.
Mandy pointed out earlier when we were initially talking about the intro, how the way they did it, it looks like this picture has postcard town full of happy people, but what's going on in real life and, often behind the scenes is absolute terror and horror.
Did you notice that at the end when they had the welcome to Derry? Because the way it ends is like a postcard picture of the early 60s, kind of conservative, nuclear, happy, quote unquote, nuclear happy family. And the way that they framed it, where those scenes are the background of the letters in Derry, but all you can see in the postcard is the pretty parts.
Yeah.
Like you can't see any of the chaos going on in the background.
That's so cool.
Which was so dead on with the theme of it and this series. Most people play into the evils that continuously happen, particularly to outsiders and marginalized people, by refusing to look at the dirty, seedy things that go on in seemingly perfect, happy communities. I love it. I think anybody that didn't catch that these people know what they're doing, that it was shitty writing, I hope that they're all choking on their words this week.
Yeah.
Like I think you said, Sam, they seem to have so much respect for the lore, and they absolutely get why it is such a phenomenal book.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's well said. And I you ladies changed my mind on the first episode, and we're bringing me into parts of the episode that I hadn't even thought about. As much as I previously was not super impressed with the first episode, I didn't think anything negative about the series. Yeah. So I'm so disheartened that all these bad reviews are out there. It's like, has no one watched a TV series?
Yeah.
And this was I couldn't have asked for better in the first episode. I thought they did a phenomenal job. That 180 at the end. Yeah. I mean, what a move. I'm leaning in. I'm here for the end. They got me.
My anxiety level goes up 7 notches watching this show, but but I'm into it. That's what's so weird. It's like, you should not be wanting to watch this, but I sent Mandy a gif of somebody popping pills and chasing it with liquor, and I'm like, this is me hyping myself up to watch. Welcome to Derry. So,
it's funny. I think I'm as horrified in a lot of ways and disturbed as you are, Becky. But for me, it's not. I wasn't bothered about Pennywise not being in the first couple of episodes because I don't really find that CGI version of Pennywise to be very frightening. So for me, it's not. Look, I'm gonna be real honest. I don't love the last 2 movies. I just, they're okay, but they don't frighten me, and they didn't have the same impact on me as the book and the first TV series. Even with the gross part that we're going to get to, and I'll save some of this for that, but that part to me isn't it wouldn't be scary without the psychological component. That's the part that's terrifying to me. Is the way that they understand. I feel like the CGI, the ghost or the flying baby and the horrifying vision that Ronnie has later, people were judging them about it being over the top and cheesy, but I think that's exactly the point.
That's what it is.
It's a clown from outer space that eats children.
Right.
If you want realism, this isn't the genre.
But I think that the point is that these kids are going through trauma after trauma after trauma in real life, and that's the real horror. And this thing is preying on traumatized and vulnerable people.
And taking that trauma and making it real. And what would that look like to a 12-year-old kid?
Yes. Perfect. Yes, that's it. So it's deliberately a little bit cheesy and over the top. But whoever, or these writers say whoever, like it's a mystery. We have no ability to look this
Whoever
up.
you are, show yourselves.
Yeah.
To whom it concern.
This episode to me was triggering, but in the best way.
Yeah.
Because they get it.
They do.
They are doing a wonderful job of ratcheting up
Mhm.
the disquiet that people, if you've ever been somebody who was victimized because you were part of a marginalized community,
Mhm.
somebody that didn't fit into the norm, you know what violence
Mhm.
is out there. It's funny, like I told Becky sometime this week, we were just spitballing, planning things, and I said something to the effect of, I think one of the things with this series that we're not going to have a problem with is it's a horror show. You know, you're not going to have the deep dives into human psychology.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Man, this second episode,
This really did it.
yes, I was like, yes.
Yeah, no, it's part of the Pennywise genre.
Well, they get the soul of what makes it so terrifying.
Absolutely.
When I read that as a teenager, I identified so much. I felt so seen because
Same.
one of the things that is the most upsetting to me as a person going through this life is that, especially as a child, you can have terrible, horrible things happen to you, and you can try to tell people, and they don't want to hear it.
Nope.
They don't want to deal with it. And I know that to be true. And it fucks with your head.
It does.
You doubt yourself, and that leaves you vulnerable to be preyed on by horrible beings.
But the police chief,
Right.
your parents.
Right.
Yeah, just everyone looking at Charlotte Hanlon and stuff. And
Right.
our society fails children. And I think exactly what you guys are talking about, especially you, Mandy, it resonates with me too, of like, I was one of the children whose society failed too.
Right.
And so like relating to this of like, yeah, society really lets a lot of kids down.
Yeah.
And it's their job to protect kids. So how do we embody that evil?
Yeah.
And the evil that eats kids brings out the evil in other people, and also that evil in passively allowing it to occur.
That's the part that has infuriated me my whole life, is that not only do they allow these kind of things to happen to vulnerable, not just children, I think in general, anybody that falls outside of the margins of the norms in society, but especially children because they're so vulnerable. To me, like the most horrifying thing about humanity is that you're told you can tell somebody and they're going to listen to you, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's actually very rare.
Yeah, very rare.
It's actually very rare.
I think most people don't want to confront that evil lives inside of people that they trust.
Yeah, it happens to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Not here.
Let's get into the episode.
Yes,
Because all this is great conversation that goes into a lot of the scenes that we have. So the one scene that I am so grateful that they gave us is that they showed us these children being killed this week. We didn't get to see that last week. So thank you so much, guys.
We appreciate seeing the death of children.
Nice of them to show us the horror we missed last week. Poor Lily. That's my notes on the opening scene.
All over again. Yeah, at first I was confused on why they started it there, because they're like, are they assuming someone didn't watch the first episode?
I thought that.
Or forgot. And then I realized they really wanted us in the viewpoint of Lily as a little child. I mean, she is. I know she's older than Susie. And just her helplessness and her firsthand horror is so different than like the third person POV that we got before.
Yeah.
And I found that so, like, they really wanted us to empathize with Lily even more than we had before. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And also nauseating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I appreciated that viewpoint, because as Mandy, you were just saying, like, the horror really is how vulnerable children are. But we were the outsiders looking in, and this week we got to see the little girl's point of view of her friends being horribly murdered.
Yeah. So next up, we head to the Grogan house, and Mandy is very upset about Grogan. We don't talk about the show before we get on the podcast, but she did text me and said, if he gets arrested for these murders, I will burn it down.
I know.
God, I have so much dread still in the pit of my stomach.
I'm
Mhm.
afraid he's gonna
Be a victim
well, and he already is.
already, but yeah, I'm afraid he's gonna lose his life.
I thought it was an interesting contrast with how he was trying to be. He's the one who's likely going to be in trouble for this, but he's trying to keep a calm, level head. He's a realist and he knows
Yeah.
Just a great dad.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
The cops are sitting there trying to intimidate him. And he's being calm and rationally thinking it through. But grandma is like, absolutely raising hell.
Yeah.
And then, I felt bad for Ronnie, her grandmother, blaming her for this because she never should have let those kids into the theater. And it just piles on to the absolute anguish that Ronnie is now feeling because her dad, she's probably going to lose her dad for this.
It really holds up a light to the unfair standards that people of color and children of color are held up to in these situations. Like, she was just being a kid helping her friends, but because of the time in which this is happening, which honestly things haven't changed that much, they're going to try and frame her dad.
Yeah, just the whole family, actually.
It's horrendous.
We're two white ladies and Becky, a biracial woman. I feel like my strongest feeling with all this is, and I apologize, Becky, because I know this is probably going to sound stupid, but it's just like, it must be fucking exhausting to be a Black person in this country.
It is.
All day long.
Yep.
God knew better than to make me Black because I don't have the strength to do it and not go to prison.
Well, I have it. When we get to Will and what happened to him at school, I have a story to tell about something that happened to me at school solely because of the color of my skin.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I want to say before we move on past the Hanlon, or excuse me, the Grogans, is that one, I loved what a great dad he is. And those two actors, Stephen Ryder is the actor that plays Hank, and Amanda Christine is Ronnie.
She was the star.
First of all, she's the definition of a cutie patootie. Like,
I know.
Her face, you just want to pinch her. Like, she is just got this beautiful,
sweet little baby,
innocent, expressive face. And when she was telling her dad, or asking, like, the terror in her little quivering lip, and it just, oh my God, it broke my heart. And I loved seeing, even though it was horrifying, I loved seeing a Black family with a father and a daughter being supportive and loving and having that moment together. Because I just don't think you see that in TV a lot.
No, and I think it says a lot that the two Black families, I mean, there's other Black people in Derry, but the two Black families that are central to the storyline are the best families.
Yeah.
And they loving, supportive, and I mean,
the only functional families as far as I can tell. Yeah.
And I echo what you ladies said last week too. These child actors are phenomenal. Amanda Christine, I mean, sweet little baby. I just want to wrap her up and take her away from Derry and her hot dad, but for different reasons.
Sam is open to being a stepmom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is my one and only child that I'm having, but I'm welcoming many more.
Be a blended family. Let's just hope that Hank Grogan is going to make it to marry you
I
someday.
know.
I hope Ronnie makes it too, because you just don't know now.
Yeah.
I know. It's like Game of Thrones.
Sam, you gave a great segue into the second functioning Black family in Derry, and that's the Hanlon family. Charlotte and Will arrive. Mom and Dad, oh my God. First,
so cute.
This woman is a strong woman, and we learn later on why they left Louisiana.
Well, kind of. We don't really learn.
I have some background on that. I looked it up, that timeline.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I did. Yeah.
What it sounds to me like is she was trying to stand up for social justice and was punished for being a strong Black woman.
Yes.
And So we'll get to their dinner scene later on when we get to that point in the episode. But I thought it was really, really sweet that she let him take credit for Will's telescope.
She orchestrated that whole.
Yeah.
She
Which just
did.
such a mom. It was so beautiful to see that.
Yeah, and we find out later, because I have some nerdy facts for you guys about damaged amygdalas. But we find out later why she would have needed to help him to
I
get
honestly
something for
don't.
his
You know
son.
what though? I don't even need that. I think it was just that's mom and dad. That's very typical mom and dad shit. I saw a lot of me and my husband Eric in that scene.
Oh,
And I don't want to, because first of all, I want to say that I am, Charlotte is my ride or die now for this season.
Taylor Page is such a dream.
She
Like,
is.
I adore her and Charlotte.
She killed it. I wrote like 4 times through my note, Charlotte knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think that as we later learn about Captain Hanlon or Major Hanlon, that he does have the damaged amygdala. But I also think, in general, this is very typical of men and women, or differing personalities. Some people are willing to look at the darkness and keep going, and a lot of people want to just shove things under the rug and act like if you just keep a positive enough attitude, that bad things aren't going to happen to you. Sometimes I know in real life that can be exhausting, but that just reminded me of me and Eric in certain ways. Not that Eric is not, a very caring, kind person or whatever, but I'm generally the one that's just more like, I'm suspicious of everybody's motives and I'm looking for an excuse to go and start a fight with somebody. And so, but the parenting thing, like that's very, in my opinion, very mom and dad coded kind of stuff. Like the dad, especially when the kids are younger, may not necessarily, they love their kids very much, but their way of providing is to work and to bring home, the income or whatever. And a lot of times good moms are the ones that are in there kind of greasing the wheels and showing the dads the ins and outs of like the psychological components of their children and reminding them like, that's not you. He's a different person, and doing the heavy lifting to try to build a bridge between them. I loved that. I thought that was just very much a testament to this character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also related to Will Hanlon in that if people gave me baseballs, they would also be paperweights.
Right.
I see you, kid.
Before we move on from the Hanlons, I want to say one thing. I don't know if you guys noticed the line where Charlotte is pulling up in the vehicle and she's just made this cross-country journey to go meet him. Yeah. And he says something about him expecting her to be there sooner. Yes.
As a Black person, you do have to be more careful because you are more likely to get pulled over for going the same speed as someone or a person of color. I shouldn't even, not just a Black person, but a person of color in this country, especially nowadays. You are a target. I mean, you've seen how many people have been shot and killed in their cars for doing absolutely nothing.
Black and brown people.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing. And no, I'm glad you brought that up, Mandy, because I heard it and I did register with me. But I'm glad you brought that up because that's how it is.
Yeah, it made me think about the
60s.
Green Book, not the movie, which is based on the real Green Book, but the Green Book was an actual book that African American people used back in that time frame to let them know where the safe routes were for them to travel and advice on where you needed to be extra cautious and in general, which again, telling you nothing you don't already know, there really was no safe place. You just had to constantly be on vigil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go to school and Marge, oh my God, Marge.
Oh.
Get some balls, Marge.
I had empathy for her though.
I do, but come on, Marge.
I struggled in school where to fit in because, and biracial, but if you look at me, you would not guess that. You would say she's Black. That's just how people see me, which is fine. But growing up in a very small town, there was a very small group of African Americans and a very large populace of white kids. And we grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I had friends who were white, and we weren't rich by any means, but my parents, mom was a nurse, my dad was a doctor. We did well for our parents did well for us growing up. My mama spoiled me rotten. And a lot of the African American community, it was like the Derry we saw, the lower income housing, things like that. So there were white kids that wouldn't be our friends or couldn't be our friends because we were Black or were kind, and I'm using quotation marks, to our face, but very different opinions. But then the Black kids were making fun of us because we didn't fit into their crew. So I struggled hard with fitting in, trying to find my niche and where I fit in. So I empathize with Marge, not so much wanting to be popular, but just wanting to be a part of the group.
I'm just wanting to fit in, having a place to belong.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's right.
Sense.
Bad behavior. She's not treating Lily the way a friend should treat a friend, but I do empathize with Marge and where she's coming from.
We get to the beginning of that scene, and it's all the kids are getting to the Derry Junior High, and that first scene with the patty cakes and Marge trying to fit in. The one thing that I took away from that, did you notice that Patty actually looks like Pennywise?
Oh my gosh, she does. And she does not like it when Marge starts getting twice in this episode. When Marge started getting the attention, she shut it down.
Yeah, but in that specific episode, later, that vibe of evil is still there. But in that episode, they were very deliberately trying to make her look. It was I absolutely believe it was a choice.
That I'm going to have to go back and watch.
She has the same colored hair. She has a little bit of a rabbity deal going on with her teeth. And she's actually wearing Pennywise colors in that episode, in that scene.
Oh my goodness, Easter eggs. I was kind of looking forward to watching her death scene, but it's because she's fictional. It reminds me of the girls who bullied me in school.
Yeah.
Personally, I was more of Lily. I don't know. I just didn't even know how to combat girls like that. I dealt with them, and sometimes I would physically fight with them eventually. I didn't want to be part of their crew. I just wanted them to leave me alone.
Yeah.
You can't win either way. You can either be a Marge and try really hard. And it was almost like dogs. Like, that was so pitiful how she was literally like a little dog on the outside of their
trying to get in the conversation. It's like, Marge, stop.
So awkward.
And then she found her way in.
But it had to be through
But it was through making fun of somebody else, which you see, which is very common.
It is. But she can't win, and neither can Lily, who just wants to be left alone. Like, neither one of those is acceptable when you are that type of bully. And it's so common and pervasive. It's, again, another one of those ways they're just really hitting the notes on showing how vicious and scary childhood can be.
And is allowed to be.
Right.
And I would love to say that that's Pennywise's influence on the town, but that's everything we've been talking about so far, except for the opening. Yeah,
it's
probably
real.
Pennywise is influencing it, but it wasn't just in this fictional town of Derry. This happens all over.
Yeah.
And speaking of kids, I just want to hug little Will Hanlon.
Oh my gosh.
Both Ronnie and Will's scenes in school reminded me of Ruby Bridges.
Yeah.
And 1962, it's not that long from when she went. I mean, it's 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And that school is white. And desegregation of schools had just started. Brown v. Board of Education was settled in 1951. But as the episode goes to show us, change doesn't happen quickly, nor is it welcomed. The Paul Bunyan statue of controversy that is, wow, in a white town, they're going to look for something, aren't they?
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that.
I looked it up. There's nothing I can really find why it would be controversial other than they just don't like change, which will tell you everything about how they treat people of color, especially Black and African American people. I mean, they keep them all in one part of town.
Yeah.
I just felt really bad for both Will and little Ronnie, because we see little Ronnie a little bit later in the scene from Marge, which is Marge is watching Lily and Ronnie talk. And none of this has to do with Pennywise. This is all the real horror of people.
Yeah. The real horror of it and Stephen King's genius. It's encapsulating how human beings already have the capacity for this evil inside of them.
He just
Pennywise just
feeds on it. He just tweaks it. He's like slowly turning the dial up and making it. He's not creating something. He's just honing in on what's already inside of you and making it stronger.
Right.
I mean, you look at the teacher when Will comes in and he's late and he's like immediately apologetic. Like, I couldn't find whatever. And, you know, she's rude to him.
When she says, hold on a second, because I love that line. She says, do you have a concept of time? And he goes, you mean like relativity?
Yeah.
Like, you can see where Mike Hanlon gets his intelligence from. Will is obviously very, very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and Will gets it from both of his parents.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, like clearly both of his parents are very smart. And I love the continuity there of that world building, of showing that this is where Mike Hanlon got his genius from.
And also, screw that teacher. There are very good reasons for being late. What are you talking about?
On your first day, for God's sake.
Health, safety, not knowing. Like, you had to pee. Like, that teacher drove me nuts. That sort of rigid thinking.
When Will goes to sit in his chair and the kids kick the chair out from under him and everybody's laughing. She doesn't.
And nobody does anything.
Chastise them
Total
for
racism.
being bullies. She just says, be quiet. It's time to start class. But I'm going to tell you, this scene brought me my new favorite character, which makes me really sad because he's going to be gone now. I just know it. But I love Rich.
Yeah.
He's like, Cedar Point, good pencil. And I'm like, okay, you're going to be cool. And then we'll get to him later. But
that's how friendships were made when you were a kid, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved him.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's segue to Hanlon meets with Fuller, and we learn that Masters is being blamed for the attack, but Hanlon figures out, starts piecing together based on the specs of one gun that Master couldn't have handled that. So that's where we leave that very brief situation.
Yeah. Hanlon's no dummy.
No, he is not.
He's very intelligent. My goodness. I never would have figured this stuff out that he did. And I'm just super, super impressed. Like, his talents are being wasted. Like, he's just so smart. And so I really like his character. So Charlotte goes to downtown. Charlotte stroll downtown is what I called this section. And I love I saw it as a progression. She's walking through town and she sees this ridiculous statue being erected, and that's funny. And then I love the contrast in how they shoot these seemingly happy, pleasant moments versus the dark. The way because Derry was so bright and so colorful, and she stops and smells the flowers, and of course she gets looks. But then she goes into the butcher shop, the butcher's being all nice, and then all hell breaks loose. And she starts to get a strong glimpse that, like the postcard Mandy mentioned in the front, what you see on first look is just bliss and joy in this beautiful, quaint town. But once you start really looking, you see the horde that's coming.
Yeah, that was, again, one of those scenes that reinforced for me that it just must be fucking exhausting to be a Black person in this country. A lot of this episode reminded me of what it's like to be somebody with compassion and intelligence in the United States today. I say that fully understanding that this is something that no matter what I've ever been through in life, it's only been in the last 10 years that I've truly understood how dark the quote unquote American dream can really be for a lot of us. And I think Charlotte knows that, but she keeps her optimism. So it's like trust but verify. She wants to be happy here. She is trying to build her life here and, whatever happened in Shreveport behind her, but she's not stupid and she sees like the rot of the society that is around her and the threats that are out there to her.
Yeah, I feel like she's an avatar for the audience, which I love that a Black woman is going to be the avatar for the audience in some ways.
That's a great way of putting that.
Yeah.
And, like when she looked out that window and saw those bigger kids beating up on that little boy, she was like,
yeah.
why is no one stopping this? Kind of like how I felt watching it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, boys will be boys. And I got sick in my stomach. Yeah. And meanwhile, she's raising a little boy who is the sweetest little boy I've ever seen. And so she was like, oh, and then she just like runs out and she saves this little boy. That moment when that insanely tall teenager like stepped up to her, I was like, I felt violence in my body. Like, don't you dare touch Charlotte.
Yes,
like,
I was like, oh,
but it's, it's like, but again, it's like, but what if she hits this like tall white kid? She's gonna be killed.
Right.
So it's just the amount of bravery, and we find out a little bit more. She's a social justice advocate. I'm not gonna stand here and watch this little boy be beaten.
But I could lose my life in this moment.
Yeah, and everyone's judging her for it. And I'm like, oh, this was a lot.
You're rocking the boat. Just reminded me so much of why it was my favorite novel for so long.
Yeah.
You were being punished not for doing bad, but by trying to make society at large look at bad and do something about it. I want to make sure that we also pay some homage, though, to the lady in the butcher shop that said they were talking about the Paul Bunyan statue.
Oh,
and she said, the Grand Dams of Derry are not going to stand for this. And I feel like Grand Dams of Derry is a great band name.
It made me think of, I watched an episode of Gilmore Girls last night before I went to bed, and it made me think of the DAR. The Daughters of the American Revolution.
Oh, that woman is for sure in the DAR.
Yeah.
That lady is the chapter president of the DAR, for sure. But I just love that.
That's such a great point. It reminded me of the Grand Dame Karen from Real Housewives of Potomac.
I don't watch it, but there's a lot of Grand Dames, especially. Well, there's a lot of Grand Dames in the South. I don't know about Boston. I'm sure Boston too, but
I'm sure.
There's a lot of little old ladies that feel like that they are the actual queens of their town.
Yeah, there's a lot connected into that. That's just a lot of problematic stuff. Not for Karen, but for like the lady in the butcher shop. Honestly, when she said that, my mind went to, oh, the KKK. She's probably not, but like descendants of that is what my brain went to.
I just thought of the fact that, again, she's so upset about this stupid ass statue, but she's not worried about the kid getting beat to death in the alley.
Or, the boys who drove up in the truck and were like, eat eggs, suck raw eggs or whatever, Paul Bunyan. And I thought they were going to throw them at her.
I did too.
I did too.
And it's like, okay, when we later go to the police station, there's like 4,000 missing kid posters.
Right. But they're worried about the fucking statue.
Yeah.
That's not like anything that could happen in this country today where we would just get real worked up about some fucking statues. Fine. Yeah. Well, we'd never do that.
Never. All right. So she gets home, they're having dinner, and she is obviously upset, and rightfully so. And I love how she kind of like, Will, did you experience anything today at school? But I forget how she phrased it, but she phrased it in a way that's not to just, you have a rough day. Did you experience bullying?
because she knows that could happen. Well, I love that. I want to pay again. Another great line in this was, "How about boys will be kind? Boys will be boys. How about boys will be kind?" That
Is what we should be teaching our sons.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. God, I love that woman. I love this character.
I know.
Yes, those are the kind of boy moms we need to be talking about instead of these women that are just, propping up patriarchy and teaching their shithead sons that they can just go and do whatever they want. Boys will be boys, bullshit. How about boys will be kind? Love it. Need it on a t-shirt.
I thought it was really cute though when they were talking and Will's like, stop fighting. And at the exact same time, they're like, we're not fighting. We're just talking. It's how we talk. I was like, oh my gosh, that had me howling.
Don't want to skip too far ahead, but like when they're in the cafeteria, when Ronnie and Lily have their moment later, when the patty cakes were doing that rhythmic, like this whole thing that happens sometimes in the It universe where
Yes.
groups of people are all doing the same thing at one time. But I honestly think that wasn't that. This was just literally parents.
That was just the
It was
handling.
so great.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like couples goals for me. Like, you can see why Will is such a great kid. I mean, his parents are wonderful, brilliant people who love each other and love him, and they're raising him right.
They set a great example.
Wonderful, wonderful to see that. And I think this is the part where they talked about Shreveport.
Yeah. And he basically points the finger at her like, well, it's your fault all this happened. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, which is, so she's, from what I can tell, and I listened to like the after show stuff, is that Charlotte was a civil rights activist. In 1962, Shreveport, Louisiana, that was actually a focal point for civil rights activism and violence, including the bombing of a civil rights leader, Dr. C.O. Simpkins, a Shreveport dentist and activist. His lake house was bombed and destroyed. And at the same time, the St. Rest Baptist Church was also bombed. So the aftermath of this was the police initially faced criticism for how they handled it, but there was also a lot of violence going on in the city. So it makes sense that she would have been a part of that reaction to the bombing. And so it was a big hot spot for this. And politically, the city was a key battleground in the 1962 Louisiana state election, where Republican candidate Taylor W. O'Hearn challenged incumbent Democratic Senator Russell Long. So I like that this show actually brought in like real life things. Like, this takes place in 1962, and they brought in Shreveport, which was a huge moment in 1962 for the civil rights movement. And earlier on, when Charlotte was expressing some concerns about living in a predominantly white neighborhood, Leroy is Will's father. I was thinking of Major Hanlon. Leroy goes, well, they can talk to JFK about it. Well, 1962 was marked by the integration crisis at the University of Mississippi. There was a lot of violent riots that required federal intervention. It wasn't a smooth sailing time. I mean, it's still not. But there was a lot of things where like JFK like had to send in federal forces to keep these cities from rioting against the Black and African American citizens. They're making statements about this. And also in 1962, speaking of Air Force, James Meredith, an Air Force veteran, became the first African American student to enroll at the University of Mississippi. I like these little like Easter eggs. Like, it can't be coincidence that all this stuff is here.
No,
so
I'm glad you looked that up.
Just like all that stuff.
No, I want to say though that one of the things that I took away from what we start to see in that dinner conversation and the difference in the attitudes between Charlotte and Leroy as far as getting involved when you see injustice. I think that is going to be an ongoing theme for God. I didn't look at the IMDb, so I don't know how long Charlotte is for this world. I got fears for her. But one of the things I think that's going to be an ongoing theme, at least for a while, and hopefully he's going to start coming around, is that there's obviously a very different approach to life as an African American person in that country at that time. You're starting to see a little bit of a cracks in the quote unquote perfect Hanlon family. Charlotte is somebody who can't turn away. And Leroy is somebody who is in the military, which famously means that you are somebody who is a fan of authority in the establishment. And
Yep.
I think that you're seeing a very real difference in opinion between those two parents.
Absolutely.
You know, one of them is very ready to get in there and mix it up whenever she sees something that she thinks is an injustice. The other is more just worry about yourself and your own problems.
Yeah.
Don't cause trouble. As he said, you're the one out here causing trouble.
Right.
Oof. It's good trouble, sir. Like
I agree.
Representative John Lewis said.
But it's very realistic. The victim blaming even in their own home. You know, my other
Absolutely.
podcast, Dinner for Her, we did Zora Neale Hurston. She lived in the DC area at one time, and it was in the 20s and 30s, and it was just the beginning of the civil rights movement. And she was very harsh in her, and you can't say anything but that Zora Neale Hurston was a very proud Black woman, but Black people are not a monolith, and especially as you're going through those time frames, there are very real reasons that some Black people might have thought it's in our best interest to just shut the hell up, keep our head down, and keep going. Right? She was very critical of people that used to try to integrate the barbershop that she was working in, and I think that that could have been a very valid viewpoint of somebody who was living the Black experience at that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we go from there to one of the most disgusting television scenes I have ever seen in my entire life. I wanted so badly to text you both and be like, oh my God, she's chewing through the umbilical cord.
That was crazy.
I gagged, like had to look away for a second, gagged on first watch. So yeah, Ronnie had a rough. We learned her mom died in childbirth, giving birth to her, and she could still hear grandma down the hall raising hell about the police and her dad. And
poor Luella. I feel so bad for her.
I know.
She has no control, and she's old enough to know that this could go very badly.
She's seen things. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ronnie looks at that picture of her mom, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yes.
Writing and is cinematography the right word?
Yeah.
Because how many of us as children and sometimes as adults, when you watch things like this and go to bed, pull the covers up over your head as a security?
Right.
Security is the wound, right?
Right.
The way they chose to make
it a terrifying thing. Yeah.
And turn it into horror was, I mean, it did its job, but I was really grossed out, but also like, that's cool. Well done, guys.
Yeah. Well, what I loved about it was that the fact that they chose to make her look like the bride, like, of course that's why, like, because that's the only version of her mother that Ronnie knows is that photo of her mother as a bride, and that Pennywise chose what is probably like a deep wound of guilt about, quote unquote, you know, killing her mother, because she probably did go through life feeling very responsible for her mother's death. It's interesting that, especially based on what happens later, that both Lily and Ronnie have a deep parent wound revolved around their death and feeling guilt around that.
Well, that's what kids do. So like, it's part of their child development. It's part of why I encourage parents when they're my patients to don't be subtle. Talk about it with the kids. You got to talk about it, especially if the relationship's breaking up or something, because kids are going to blame themselves. We're actually programmed to do that whenever something's going on with our parents. We're programmed to think as little kids, what did I do wrong to make mom and dad upset?
Because you think the world revolves around you.
Yeah, they don't sort of have that perception, and like, we're supposed to teach kids that.
Right.
Like, no, it's actually not about you. We're here to help you with the emotional intelligence development. And it was such a powerful fear that, of course, both of them would feel like that.
Yeah. As
someone who's like 13 weeks pregnant with my first and only child, if we could maybe have one episode without maternity horror in it, my stomach would really appreciate it.
It feels like an ongoing theme.
It might be a theme. So
It's great. It's just bad timing for me.
For sure. The real horror to me, the special effects in the actual scene itself. First of all, kudos to the actress, and I didn't look up her name, who played Ronnie's mom. Obviously, Amanda Christine, we've already established she is a phenom. I can't wait to see what that woman is going to do, or that little girl is going to do with the rest of her life. But kudos to the moms. Like,
oh my gosh.
She was a marionette.
Yeah.
She would come back and forth as an actress from being a marionette, basically, to Pennywise, to actually showing like real depth of emotion, like she really was
sitting there talking to her kid.
Right. God, she nailed that. The special effects and stuff, that wasn't as scary to me as the psychological horror behind it. That is what it does. It feeds on your deepest fears, and it shows those to you. And as a child, not really having the same boundaries of what's possible and not possible, like, it's just, of course, that is exactly what it would do. And they went there.
Yeah, they went there, and I'm impressed.
Yes. Yeah.
People still don't think this is horrific. I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at then.
I think that's the thing. I think it's the emotional depth.
Mm-hmm.
Another TV show that didn't have the same emotional depth to it.
It would just be gore for the sake of gore.
Yes.
But this, even when you're watching it, and it was gross, like legit.
Yeah.
She chewed through her own umbilical cord. But I think
she was covered with mucus from the
birth. But it's like, it's almost like she was delivered into this.
It was her literal nightmare.
Yeah. And then she has to sever that cord to be free from that evil. I just think there was so much
trauma.
So many layers.
You said, so much more to it than just, I do not feel like it's not gratuitous.
No.
Right. It just works on a lot of levels.
But the way they're using it to play into what you're talking about, Mandy and Sam, with the psychological aspects of what these kids, it's just genius.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then her dad comes in, much like when we were kids, I would be having a nightmare or something, and she would come in and flip on the light and everything was okay. And he didn't scream at her. He just held her. Didn't even make her explain why she was so terrified. He just held her and was like, it's going to be okay.
If they kill Hank Grogan, I swear to God, that man, one of the best father figures that I've seen in cinematic history. He is so kind and understanding of her, and just, you don't need a lot of backstory or exposition to get that he took ownership of parenting this child when he lost his wife in a incredibly traumatic situation. And he's knocking it out of the park, but he lives in this society where he can be plucked up.
Just like that, for nothing he did wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, compare Hank's reaction to Ronnie being upset to Lily's mom, the ice queen.
Right.
I mean, I do fear for Hank, not just for like the racism and racial tensions, but also Pennywise doesn't want a healthy parent around. It gets in the way of him targeting and eating these children.
Yeah.
So I fear for all the healthy parents.
Yeah.
We do know Leroy survives. Well, at least his farm. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Leroy and Will survive.
Yeah.
I'm very bummed I'm getting attached to Will, because we know this is taking after the 2017 movies, not necessarily only the book. Thank you, ladies, for filling that in for me. And that we know from Mike that Will and his wife die horribly in a fire. And that Mike is raised by Leroy, his grandfather, on his grandfather's farm.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, welcome. Because I thought about how I was getting attached to Will. I was like, oh,
that's
no.
doubly horrifying, because I didn't want to skip ahead, but I'm hoping that Ronnie's going to end up being Mike Hanlon's mom.
So is Mike Hanlon's mom is named Jessica? So maybe that's her middle name?
Okay.
Or something? I don't know.
They can take some liberties if they want. I wouldn't be mad about it, because Jessica isn't an intricate part of the story. So if they swap her out with Cool Ass Ronnie, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it too. So
I do too.
books. Yeah. Yeah. Like in the books, I know Will has a different fate, but like in the movies, it's horrendous. It's a little bummer for everyone listening.
Yes. On that note, let's go to the bar where, okay.
Speaking of bummers.
I've been dying to ask this question. All right. So, yeah, we get Dick Halloran, and that's very exciting. And he's working on a super secret spy mission. But the police chief comes in, and his name is Bowers.
Yep.
Is he going to be Henry Bowers' grandfather?
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah, for sure.
I love these people for giving me these.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
I have it. I'm like, nice to see that the Bowers boys are genetically shitheads.
Yeah. What made me think of like one of our favorite movies around here is Wedding Crashers, and Bradley Cooper plays like
Horrible.
the shitty boyfriend, and he like tackles
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, and he says 3 generations of large family breeding. That's what the Bowers made me think of.
I mean, I'm really glad that the chief's son and grandson die horribly. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, and we're hoping he gets the same
mad.
fate.
Oh, I'm hoping. Oh, fingers crossed.
While we're in the bar, Grandpa Bowers is sitting there stressed out. And at first, I had empathy for him because
At first,
because he's being pressured by the councilman and some other guy about arresting Grogan, and he's being right. He's like, look, there's no evidence, and he's got an alibi anywhere in America. There's nothing I can do. And the councilman's like, this isn't America. This is Derry.
And is that not the perfect quote to describe the dystopia that is our current political landscape?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like, this is not America anymore. This is Derry. Who knows what the rules are?
Yeah.
There's terrifying clowns popping up all over the place around here.
Yes, with all their makeup.
And then after that, he turns and looks at Halloran and his buddies and makes some comment to the bartender, who looked to me like a very poor casting of Pugsley Adams. I don't know why. That's who I'm like.
Get it, man. I see it.
Here comes Pugsley.
Totally
And runs him out of the bar. So that just added to Bowers being a dick. And I feel like it was literally, he just got spanked. And so he wanted to turn around and take that out on somebody else. But this is the making of the story. Hanlon is going to tell Mike about that bar. Remember the bar in the book that the black folk put together that got burned down?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, because he said, one of the guys said, why can't we go somewhere to hang out? And Hanlon said, I've got something in the works for us. I think
you mean Dick Halloran?
Yeah, Halloran. I'm sorry. Hallahan. Is that what I said?
No, but the names are very similar. It's easy to get it.
Yeah. They are.
Good Easter egg, Becky. I didn't pick up on that. I will say one of the things that I noticed about that scene was you could see Dick Halloran knows what, like, much like Charlotte, Dick Halloran knows what's up. He's always, he's in the moment, but he's got, but it made me think, does Charlotte have it as well? Or is it just her, she's just got a better instinct?
I think Charlotte just has experienced things and she's not blind to the realities. But I think Halloran senses it.
Yeah, and I thought that too, Becky. And I still think that I'm just curious. I wonder if, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that at some point they're going to say, like, maybe one of the differences between Charlotte and Leroy is that she might have a touch of the sight.
And honestly, somebody just chewed through an umbilical cord. So,
so it's all possible. It's all possible.
Not saying you're wrong.
So yeah, like I don't know. It was a very brief scene, but when Charlotte into the antique store, it's a little Easter egg. We can wait until we get there.
The last thing I want to say personally about that scene of they're in the bar, they get kicked out, and Halloran tells them that he knows where they can go and get some moonshine. And then they're coming back and they're hammered, and Dick is able to get them back on base, even though whoever is on guard duty doesn't want to let them back in, by saying, pulling some strings, which serves to like make these guys know he's not full of shit when he says that he's on secret super spy duty. But two things about that. One, the middle guy, completely oblivious something bad's going to happen to that guy. Like,
Yeah.
and
I think
here's
so
how I
too.
further know that. If you guys notice, when they're going back into the base, that guy steps on a crack. Like, very obviously, they show a crack in the ground, and that guy's foot goes down on the crack.
Is he going to
Ooh.
break his mother's back?
I don't know.
So Pennywise is going to break his.
I think that's more likely. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, special shout out to Chris Chalk, who plays Dick Halloran in this
Amazing.
version. Such a great job.
The way that he and Scatman Crothers could be related.
It's
like,
Oh my gosh.
wild.
yeah. I kept thinking he has an old fashioned look about him. Like, he has
Yeah,
this old.
there's-
Like, at
Yeah.
one point, the racist guy calls Leroy Hanlon Sidney Poitier, but I honestly think Chris Chalk has more
Yes.
of a Sidney
I
Poitier
mean,
vibe.
Yep.
Like, there's such magnetism that
Yeah.
actor exudes. Like, every scene he's in, my eyes immediately go to him. So he's just phenomenal. I mean, special shout out to take on that fan favorite role, and he is just
Yeah.
killing it for me. I really like him.
All right, so we go back to school, and I really liked Lily's choice to sit by herself rather than go sit with Marge
Mhm.
and the patty cakes.
But she's seen too much shit.
Yeah.
Let's not slide by those potatoes, though.
Oh my God,
That
the
was-
shot from Halloran puking
Yes.
into
to the potatoes being squirted out. So gross.
that was so great.
Yeah.
So good.
But I like that we don't hear the conversation that Ronnie and Lily have. We just see it from Marge's point of view.
Yeah.
And then are let in on the secret, because at the point, Marge, of course, all the friends are making fun of Lily for talking to the Hatchet Man or the Hatchet Man's kid or whatever they've nicknamed her
Yeah.
dad.
Right.
And what does Marge do to fit in? She makes fun of all them being killed by this man. And Patty doesn't like it, and she insults Marge to bring Marge down a notch, which is just more of that power play dynamic,
Yep.
especially among women, which we still do to this day.
That
What
queen
can
bee
we do
mentality.
to knock each other down?
Yeah.
People have talked about how the patriarchy has been so successful that it doesn't need to police women. It's trained women to police each other.
Very well said.
There
Yep.
we go.
Yeah, there's an actual term that I talk about fairly often with people because I am vocally feminist, and there are a lot of times that women in my real life are like, okay, but why are women such bitches to each other? And I used to get very like sniffy of like, well, actually, but
Yeah.
as I've gotten older, nobody wants to hear that. And honestly, they're not wrong. A lot of times we are awful to each other, but there are absolutely documented reasons why that is.
Yeah.
That we have been trained our entire lives to see each other as competition. This scarcity mindset of there can only be a small handful of women in successful places, and you have to distance yourself from stereotypically feminine things in order to be seen as not like the rest of the women. And that is very much like the dynamic of what's going on with the patty cakes and the mean girls.
Yeah. Internalized patriarchy all the way. And so it's so rough. And we see it like internalized racism for people of color. It's like, no, it's not like colorism. Like, I mean, it's within the community, but it's also racism. White people are the problem. Like, that's where that comes from. So internalized patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's that go along to get along.
Yep.
I really loved the way they did that patty cake beat as Lily and Ronnie are talking. I thought it just broke my heart because there was no way not to feel for Lily and no way not to feel for Ronnie.
Right.
Because Ronnie's like, tell them what you saw, because if you don't, they're going to take my dad away. And Lily's response is, if I tell them what I saw, they're going to take me away.
Right. It's Pennywise. He has created this situation where no matter what happens, one of these girls is about to have her worst fears come true. It's especially interesting thinking about, again, that fact that they both have that parental wound and the guilt around both of them feeling like they were the cause of the death of one of their parents. They have so much in common. That's what the system does. It takes marginalized people and it makes you so terrified of your own future that you turn against each other instead of coming together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And shout out, I echo your lady's statement from last week. Clara Stack, who plays Lily, is such a star.
Wonderful.
Her big old eyes, those
Oh
big
my
old doll
gosh.
eyes, it's just, they water. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, sweet baby. We'll kidnap you from Derry as well.
She screams innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking innocence. And I wanted to scoop them both up and hug them and be like,
same.
Lily, I believe you. Ronnie, we're scared too.
Yeah.
Right.
They did such a phenomenal job, which Ronnie, as the patty cake beat intensifies and intensifies, she gets mad and screams bullshit, which gets her detention. And we'll get to that. But before we get to that, Will officially meets Rich. And Rich is the most adorable human, which means you're not long for this world, Rich. And I'm sorry.
R.I.P. Rich. I just feel it coming.
When did you notice her eyes when the sun glared, that those were Pennywise eyes?
Yeah, I did. I was wondering what was going on with her eye. It went off her glasses.
With the sun reflects off of her glasses. And for just like a quick second, they morph into Pennywise's eyes.
I missed that.
It was real creepy.
That's funny. I did notice, like, when they showed the eyes during the scene where Ronnie was having the nightmare about her mom, that at one point when she's looking in that belly, there was like the little shopping doors.
Yeah.
That they were in there. So dang it, I hate that I missed that.
Well, go back and look. It's quick, but it's slow motion, but it's quick. I was like, wow.
And she has like a weird look on her face. Also, I also adore Rich, and I worry for him as well. He's so funny. Behind the scenes, they said that his character is Cuban American and living in a country suspicious of Cubans because of the Cold War. So that's why he's one of the outsiders that Pennywise will probably target.
Ooh.
Okay, I thought it was just being a band dork, quite honestly.
I thought so too.
It's just another layer of heartbreak that he has this huge crush on Marge, and all she wants is somebody to like her. And she has this kid who absolutely adores her, but he's not part of the in crowd. And so she doesn't care. Yeah. Yeah, there's something real sad about that.
And then poor Will, somebody throws the stink bomb and he runs into the same teacher.
I've never seen him.
Do people throwing smoke bombs down the hall? And
back in the day.
But that was a grown man. What is he doing in a junior high?
I think he was a high schooler. I don't think it was a grown man. But I think
he was a large child.
I think it was done to get, but of course, Will gets blamed for it. And this is the story I want to tell. It's a very quick story. But when we were first moved to East Tennessee, my mom put us in a Christian school, and we were the only Black kids in school. And there was this girl that cheated off me during a test. And they pulled me into the principal's office, called my mother into the principal's office, and said that I was the one who cheated off of her. And I'm like, I didn't cheat. They would not believe me. And that's when my mom pulled us out of that school.
Oh, how old were you?
I'm glad your mom did that. And I feel bad that you guys had to go
7
through
or
that.
8.
Gosh, racism.
I love Doris.
It was bad. Yeah, I remember being heartbroken. Like, Mom, I didn't cheat. Like, worried she's going to be mad at me. And she's like, I know you don't. I know you didn't.
See,
and she's
motherfucker
had my back.
About being Black in this country. It reminds me of, I got a friend she's a single mom, and she's raising a son who is an amazing kid. He reminds me of Leroy Hanlon, like just a young Leroy Hanlon, just very with it. And his mom, Tatika, is perfect boy mom. Like, for somebody having to raise a boy on her own, like, God couldn't have picked a better boy mom for her. But they were going to a Christian school. And the thing about her kid is that he was 6 foot tall in the 6th grade.
Oh, sweet baby.
Again, just smart, emotionally mature, not reactive, none of that stuff. And of course, had this little tiny shrimpy white kid who saw him as like a challenge and kept starting shit with him and starting shit with him and starting shit with him. Finally, one day, he drug him in the bathroom and picked him up by the shirt and was like, now what are you going to say, little man? Didn't hurt him, nothing like that, but was just like, put him in his place. Well,
Legend. Yeah, he's gonna get in
Carted to the
trouble for
point.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
The kid claimed that he roughed him up, all this stuff. And Tatika politely listened, shook her head, all of that, and then went out to the car and asked Blake, okay, what really happened? And then when he told her the story, she was like, never apologize for that. She was like, I don't want you to
Yeah.
be the bully. We've worked on that your whole life. You're bigger than most of these kids. You got to be careful. But that does not mean that you sit and let people treat you like shit or
Yeah.
victimize you. So happy for her that she was that advocate for her kid, because none of that would have happened if Blaine was not a very large black child.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Unfortunately.
All right. So, real quick, before we get into detention, Charlotte goes to the antique store. What is the Easter egg there, Sam?
Rose, so awesome. So she is played by legendary actress Kimberly Norris Guerrero. She is a citizen of the Confederate tribes of the Colville Reservation. And so I think Rose is also part of the Shokopiwa tribes. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. It's a fictional tribe, but that's the tribe that we hear about in It Too, that was actually used for cultural appropriation in the movie. And one of the things was the writers and producers were like, we're actually going to go in depth into the Shakapiwa tribe and actually fully flesh out those characters. So I think she's a part of the tribe that's been following Pennywise since he landed.
I do too.
Because it would have been like we got that brief shot in the dig site. They've been guarding against Pennywise since he landed. So I think she's a part of that tribe, and she almost does a double take when Charlotte walks in.
Which is another reason I think that Charlotte might have The Shining.
That's like when you said that, I was like, ooh, I bet you Rose would pick up on that, just because they are in touch with the supernatural. They've had to be because of Pennywise crash landing on their land.
Right.
Well, it's not their land. Indigenous tribes don't believe in owning land, but where they lived. But not only did she see like, oh, another person of color in this very white town, I think she senses something in Charlotte. Could be The Shining, like what you were talking about, just goodness in Charlotte.
Or maybe that she's in danger. We don't know. But I think you're right. I think she's psychic. I don't know if psychic's even the right word, but I think she has abilities, and she senses that Charlotte is one of the ones that can sense the evil that is in Derry.
And be like one of their allies, because that is rare, as we've seen, for any adult in Derry to have that. So like maybe Rose has the shine and can pick up on it. But yeah, the Shakapiwa tribe, fictional tribe for the Stephen King books, they're actually going to be picking up on actual real life tribes in that area, which I am blanking on. I apologize. They're looking at the Wabanaki Confederacy of Maine to also incorporate that indigenous heritage, to give them credit for being a part of the story, and also to take away from the cultural appropriation that Mike made a passing move about it, like in the Ritual of Chud.
And they don't feel like that it was fleshed out enough in the movies, that it was just like a throwaway.
Very tokeny. Yeah, so I just want to do that.
Again, I want to give credit to this series so much, because that's one of the potential things that's always frustrated me. Not always frustrated me. That's not frustrated me about the original book, because it was a product of its time, but just about the remakes since then, is just of this idea that they've never really delved into the potential of really talking about how truly, like, this whole idea of marginalized people, it has to include more conversations about how people who are not white are the biggest people dealing with this otherness.
Yes.
In the world.
Pennywise.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things we also need to mention is that Secondhand Rose is a long-standing trope in a lot of Stephen King's books.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the turtle here too, as well. I think there were turtles in that scene if you were looking for them.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I read about this week was just the reminder, and maybe this is something we need to clarify, is that Maturin is supposed to, in the lore, was created at the same time as whatever the evil is that Pennywise is. And he is the hope. He is the force of good that is the balance of the pure totality of evil. And that is very much something that is reflected in not just Native American mythologies. It's actually a theme around a lot of different mythologies throughout the world. The idea of the world turtle, But in a lot of native mythologies, specifically, the turtle is the creator of the world, or the world is sitting on top of and being supported by a turtle. And apparently that is going to very much be a theme of this show, is that if you look in the background of a lot of different scenes, you can see turtles being represented. Like, for instance, when they were in detention, I noticed that there was a drawing of the turtle on the chalkboard. And it's supposed to be a reminder that the evil in the world is not the only influence going on.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, speaking of detention, the chemistry between those two is so cute.
That's so cute.
So cute.
I like how she basically calls him an idiot because he threw the bomb, and he's like, I didn't do it. I just got blamed for it. And she's basically flat out says, well, she was not wrongfully accused of cussing. She's guilty as hell. And his little comment about being, he could just be Jupiter dust. I could stink, or I could be.
Oh my God. Will has
So
game.
cute.
Oh, he's
I
so
know.
adorable.
Or maybe
So
I'm just
much
covered in
game.
stardust. Yes, like if I was a 12-year-old girl, I would have
Seriously.
been like it was so. Those two are the cutest of
I
patooties
know.
in the entire world.
It was
Like
sweet.
those
really
two
are.
actors together, it was a very much needed moment of levity.
It was.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because what do we see? Ronnie sees the police as she looks out the window and sees the police taking Lily away. And we get to the police station, and shame on Bowers for using. Oh, I hate when men in power use that power against anyone. I hate it when they really hate
Same.
it when they do it against women, and I despise it when they do it
Same.
against children.
Yeah, very triggering.
Basically tells her, I'm gonna have to lock you up if you don't say you didn't see him, but that it's a possibility he could have been there. And she freaks out, and she does, and I don't blame her.
Right, that's such a real thing that cops can sometimes do, particularly to vulnerable people, whether it's because you're socioeconomically disadvantaged, a person of color, all of those things. If they want to make you a patsy, they can absolutely.
They know how to do it.
They know how to do it.
It's awful. So awful.
And when they went to go arrest Hank, and oh God, when Luella was standing out there,
did you hear what she said?
Yes, ought to be ashamed because you're feeding off of other people's pain.
And she's talking to the neighbors that are sitting there, once again, blank faced, watching something horrible and wrong happen in Derry, and are doing nothing about it. But I think that is you could put that as the synopsis for
that's
Pennywise,
the theme.
and that is exactly what he does. So
100%.
But I mean, that friendship right now, Pennywise looks like he got his wish, because he definitely has at this point severed the relationship between Lily. And before we get to the base, I do want to ask y'all, can we go ahead and go to Lily's grocery store trip and then just close it out with what's happening on the base?
Sounds good. Because it all kind of mushes together.
It does. So when we get to the end of Lily's, what I'm calling the grocery store trip from hell.
Yeah.
And is she taken back to Juniper Hill, or is she having a flashback of when she was?
No, I think she's being taken.
She was
back
being
to
taken, because I felt like her hair looked longer.
Maybe I missed it. I'll go back and watch it. But what I took from that is that her mother was allowing her to be taken back to Juniper Hill.
That's what I figured.
So it was all for nothing.
Yeah, that grocery store scene was, again, one of the more, even though it wasn't as gruesome, to me, it was one of the more, it played on my fears, certainly.
It played on mine, too, being surrounded by a busted jar of stinky ass pickles.
Yeah, I wrote in here, Becky.
Forget the creepy dude coming back together.
I wrote, the scariest part to me is the pickle smell.
Yes. Oh, God. That would have had me throwing up before I even saw a crazy dude.
One of the things that I used to have frequent nightmares about all through my life were oh my God, my kids and I were playing this game the other day of like asking each other questions. And one of them was like, what's an irrational fear you have that other people might laugh at? And I wish I remembered this one. I have always had a phobia of the Cat in the Hat, the Wizard of Oz, and Alice in Wonderland, and what all of those things have in common was a kid getting lost or not being able to get back home and being kidnapped and no one being there to save them. That's what that scene made me think about, was just like them ratcheting up, trapping her like a rat in a cage.
And they did it so like typical. It starts as so normal and okay. And then the announcements is what got me.
Yeah.
So did you pick up? So I have the worst situational awareness, so this really creeped me out. What got me was the creepy adults that were like tilting in to stare at her before the announcement started.
Playing peekaboo is killing me, is what I wrote.
Yeah.
And the echoes of you're crazy, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I did laugh at gingham dog food. And remember, cats love it too.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they don't. Don't do that.
So then she's boxed in with these shells surrounded by pickles, and she sees her dad's face. And man, they took it to like the typical Pennywise incestuous way with, daddy's little girl and give daddy a kiss.
Shoving the tongue in her mouth. But then that makes her, oh God, like I hope she's not another kid that's been molested in the Stephen King universe. Yeah. I love my boy Stephen King, but he has a lot to answer for that already.
He did that a lot. I mean, it was very intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the grocery store reminded me a bit of Stephen King's The Mist, and I don't know if that was on purpose.
Yeah.
I probably was.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that.
One of the throwaways that I didn't notice, and I only caught it because it was an article I was reading today about something else, was that the can of, like, I think it was baking soda with a Native American on it. There were a whole lot of them. Apparently that is something that's from The Shining, that not the book, but the Stanley Kubrick version. He created that and insisted that it be in one of the kitchen scenes in the Overlook Hotel. So that was a callback to that.
Very cool.
Kind of an Easter egg. I don't think it really means anything deeper than that, but maybe it does, because there is going to be a very strong Native American presence coming up in future episodes.
Awesome. Great catch.
Anything else on that?
Just poor Lily.
I know.
At the end of this episode, as far as the kids go, their greatest fears have all been recognized at this point. It's looking very much like Pennywise is winning.
He's definitely winning.
He is. Yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, we go to the base. I thought it was great the way Hanlon goes to visit Masters, and Masters immediately thinks, oh, you want your pound of flesh? And he sets the gun down and he's like, it's not loaded. And the cartridge, the mind game that he played there.
Mm-hmm.
He goaded him, I hope I won't have to put this in your mother.
That was so funny. I love a good your mama joke. I mean,
same.
I loved it.
So he provokes him to grab the gun, but Masters isn't able to do it. So Hanlon knows that it wasn't him, and he goes to visit Shaw. I liked it when he said he's a racist asshole, but he's innocent.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it took me out just a little bit. This storyline is weird. I don't understand it. But Hanlon got a brain injury as a Korean prisoner of war. And Sam, you said you had a little note about the amygdala.
Yeah, the amygdala controls fear. I knew immediately where they were going. I mean, just like super quick.
Amygdala.
Queen amygdala.
You're totally fine. It means you're not a giant nerd like me.
Oh God, I don't know what it means.
It's all good. Just depending on the damage to the right or the left, he's not exactly what it would look like. This is obviously fictional. Yes, damage to the left amygdala, you're more likely to not experience fear and anxiety as much. It wouldn't be what they're trying to make out in the story, which is this man that has no fear. That's Daredevil. But yeah, and it does make reading social situations really difficult. You have a hard time recognizing and expressing emotions and having a blurred emotional responses to events. So it makes sense why when they were threatening to kill him in the first episode, Yes, he didn't react. I think he knew something was up. I think Halloran was one of the masked guys in that, trying to read like with a shine to see if he was going to say anything. But I also
Ooh.
think like he wasn't afraid. And so like he's like, I'm not going to do that. But there's also a lot of cognitive impairments that can come with that. So he wouldn't still be in the military, let alone good for a special project.
Okay,
So it's a little
so
fictionalized.
all right.
But the reasoning behind it is just like, I don't know if this is what you were meaning, Becky, is if you're wondering what they were going with it, like it's because Pennywise plays on fear.
Yeah,
So they think that he's going
It's
to
a
be,
narrative tool. Yeah.
yeah, they think he's going to be able to help them to harness.
as much great writing as they've done. I just could they not have connected Hanlon to Pennywise better?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, and maybe I could be wrong, because there are times when we're watching these shows where I create this entire universe, or I think we all do this, where we create this entire like theory of where they could be going. I was actually excited about that because I feel like there's a lot to be explored about the difference between bravery versus fear. Like he even says it.
Good point.
I've known a lot of brave men, but you are an exceptional man because you have no fear. Fear in and of itself is a tool to teach you about danger. And
Yeah.
being brave isn't the absence of fear. Being brave is seeing the danger, potentially experiencing the fear, and choosing to act anyway.
That's a good
So
point.
I'm wondering if they're not going to explore how the difference between someone who has no fear, who can't really understand the danger because that sense has been taken away from them, and somebody who is afraid but chooses to act anyway, like Charlotte.
Yeah.
I felt like that's where they were going to go with this.
Okay,
That's a good point.
that helps.
This is going to be a giant disaster because all respect to the military, but especially in this fictional universe, they're biting off more than they could chew. They think sending in someone who doesn't have fear is going to make this okay to retrieve it. I cannot wait for this to explode on everyone because this stuff isn't there 27 years later. So clearly it's not a successful thing. Pennywise
Right.
is Roman free. So it's such like they think they can handle this because they have Major Hanlon. Yeah, the hubris. So I'm like, this is gonna blow up in their faces.
The general is he's a puppet master. He thinks in his own mind he is this great puppet master. He seems to represent the overarching terror, especially at that time when you're talking about the beginnings of the Cold War, just after we've just got through World War One, then World War Two, and then the Korean War. This new terror that the entire world was experiencing of the fear of nuclear war. He seems to be very, very convinced that we are all going to get blown away any day. And he is letting that fear make him ruthless and make really stupid choices to try to dig up this unknowable evil and harness it for his own reasons. Just shows how stupid and naive he is. What I found interesting
and accurate,
right? What I found interesting about that scene was Dick Halloran winking at Leroy Hanlon. What was that about?
I think it's because he was in the room, and I think he was in the room, and he noticed Leroy looking at him, when in episode 1. So I think he's going to tell him.
You think
he's going to tell him
See, I just don't know. I don't know that I believe that Leroy would be part of that.
Well, I believe.
I think he was trying to read him with the shine. Because remember, he was just sitting there. That was the one who was sitting there. He wasn't threatening him with the gun.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's the one who hit him. No. I think he was the one that was sitting there.
That makes total sense.
Because there was one person that was just sitting there, and you see Leroy look at him because he's just sitting there while this other dude's being ridiculous. I think he was trying to use the shine to see if it was accurate.
Because this Leroy is definitely not the Leroy of The Shining. This Leroy is still young enough. And
you mean Halloran?
No, yes, I'm sorry, Dick Halloran. This Dick Halloran is not the Dick Halloran of The Shining. He is a much younger man and obviously still has some of his own young man foibles and egos, like the fact that he needs his friends to believe that he is somehow important because they are using him for this very special project. He could be manipulated to do something like that. that would be in character with this younger version of Dick Halloran.
Yeah. And how he's growing.
Right. Like he believes in the military and what they're doing.
I just want to echo that real quickly. Like, smart to bring in the Cold War and the paranoia, because I had no idea how the military was going to fit into this. And I was so lost in the first episode. I'm like, what are you going to do? But like you said, it was a great motivation for the US military that's actually very realistic. And so I'm a little confused. This is more hypothetical for all of us. The exact location of the weapon itself, is that its lair that we see in the 2017 film? How much does the military know about it? I mean, yes, Dick Halloran, like, let them all in on this, but it's like, how do they know about? I get a feeling we're going to find out next episode, but like, how do they know? Like, I'm leaning in because this is going to be a disaster, and is probably a major growing point for Dick Halloran that we go on to see in The Shining.
I think that's going to show some of how he ended up being who he was 20 years later at the Overlook Hotel.
Yes.
I just want to say that was the Bradley gang's car.
That's what I assumed.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
You notice the bullet holes, the money that was sticking out of one of that looked like it had been untouched, which was interesting. And the machine guns, I firmly stand by that was the Bradley gang's car.
You're 100% right about that. I got
so
that
excited.
too. What I can't remember, and it tickled the back because I didn't reread the book or go back and watch the 2017 movies before we started. But it kind of tickled my memory a little bit when they first get into the base, like the secret restricted zone. They're drying out old-fashioned baseball uniforms. What was that about? Do you guys? It feels like there was something.
Mike Hanlon, during his records and storytelling, there was the kids that played baseball, and one of the kids hit the baseball so far when one of I can't remember which kids it was, which era, but one of the kids was killed at the baseball field. And then later on, after he tells if I hope I'm getting this right, later on when he tells that story, one of the other kids is walking around remembering that story, and the baseball rolls up. Because that's what it was. He hit the ball so hard it like knocked the cover, and the kid is chased by this kid wanting to play baseball. Let's play ball, and then the kid ends up dying. So that's what I thought it tied into.
I think you're right. That was what I was trying to remember. I think that you were right about that. I knew there was something to do with a victim or victims that were baseball players.
Yeah.
In the second movie, there is a baseball game going on and a little girl with a birthmark on her cheek. While her brother, I'm guessing, is playing baseball, she goes down underneath the bleachers and is eaten by Pennywise. And that's the only thing from the movies that I can think of. But the book makes more sense.
Yeah, I think it's what Becky said.
That makes more sense as a callback.
All right. Well, anything else?
No, just feel like these people are writing the sequel that I would have wanted to write back when I was an uber fan when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. They're really fleshing this out in a way that personally I didn't feel like happened in the most recent iteration of the novel. So I'm loving this.
It is a gigantic yay for me. When we signed up for this, all I could think of is this is just going to be jump scares and gore. And while that's there, they're giving us a story, and I am here for it.
They're really realizing the potential of the book itself. They're really bringing the real horror that underlies that novel to a modern audience.
Yes.
Absolutely. And a TV series is really the only way to do that, because we'll have 6-8 hours as opposed to like breaking that up into different films. Like, for me, it's a big yay. I love the series. I couldn't ask for anything more. I think they're doing a great job. I'm excited to see where this military thing goes, because it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it's going to be so bad.
It's going to be so bad. And from what I've seen from the trailer for the next episode, we're going to get a lot more background information, which I think will also help catch everyone up.
Yeah. I'm on this ride with them.
Yep.
Same. I'm here to the end. They won me off the first episode, so
Yep.
I'm here.
I might not
No,
sleep.
no more maternity horror, please.
All right. Well, we did not get any feedback this week, but if you would like to leave us some feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you just want to write in and say hi, you could email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight and the number 2@gmail.com.
And you can also visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast 2.
That's the number 2.
The number 2, yeah.
We would greatly appreciate it if you'd leave a comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice.
All right, ladies. So let's go watch the rising of giant Paul Bunyan with the townsfolk and talk and share about where listeners can hear us, podcast recommendations, TV suggestions, or anything else you want to share. Sam, why don't you go first?
I've also been listening to Run for Your Lives. I love all of the stuff that they cover. And I also listen to Little Miss Recap for some of her reality show podcasting. I know she's been involved in some of the podcast circles we're in. So,
oh, cool.
If you like reality TV, a little break from all this stuff. Amy Archer's podcast is pretty interesting.
Mandy?
Well, I don't really have any podcasts to plug this week. I will just give my normal reminder. If you have a couple nickels to rub together or time to donate or clothing, Launchpad Nashville is the only street-free housing charity in Nashville that is LGBTQIA affirming, and they could definitely use any kind of help that you get. They make it very easy. If you could just check out their website and see if there's any way that you can help. There's almost none of us that can't find some time donation of some sort that you could do, and they could greatly use it right now. All of our nonprofits are being overtaxed and overburdened with trying to support the great need that is out there that's being opened up by our government failing to do so. So yeah, if you could go check them out.
Yeah, and you can find a link to Nashville Launchpad in our show notes.
Thank you, Bex.
Sam mentioned Paige and Daphne with their Run for Your Lives podcast. I feel like the audience that is listening to this podcast likes horror, and that's what they do. They cover horror movies, most of which I have never seen, but every now and then they will cover one from back in the day when I could watch horror movies. And so please check them out. And also I want to give a plug to Kelsey. For those of you who listened to our coverage of Dexter, Kelsey was one of our guests on the show, and she and Genevieve have started a podcast called They Did What? And it's a podcast about documentaries and docuseries about people doing crazy, fucked up stuff.
Oh, that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it's up and running, and you can find it on podcastica.com. So shout out to Kelsey. I'm proud of you, girl, for starting to do your own thing. So very excited for her.
No, I'm all over that. That sounds great.
And as always, a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Core Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Pirate Core website. You can find a link to it on our Facebook page, and there you can find out about our podcast, as well as other podcasts like Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy, who just covered Mary Shelley. And it was so good. I really enjoyed listening to you and Terry talk. And also you had me rolling at how much I hate you for making me watch it at the end of the podcast. That was great. So yeah, check that out. And you can also find Adrenaline Cinema podcast and Panels to Pixels podcast. Mark has been generating some content over the last few weeks. So go check that out. And you can also find out about other projects that he's working on.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episode 1. We will be back next week to discuss episode 3 titled Now You See It.
Which means I have a bad feeling I'm going to be forced to look at Pennywise.
Yeah.
Oh man, my baby brain is so out of it. That is what that means.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mandy's gonna wake up with me snuggled spooning up behind her, sucking on a pacifier like Maddie.
I just really want to believe that his first scene when he's like full on Pennywise, that he's come out and be like, "Surprise, bitch!"
I need him to come out like from Dexter. What was his name on Dexter? Dokes. Surprise, motherfuckers. That would make Pennywise cool in my book.
That would be amazing. I mean, does Pennywise ever curse? Is he just like this, like he'll eat kids, but that's too much for him?
That would make him even more terrifying, because quite honestly, I find those kind of people scary as shit. The ones that like the Mike Pences of the world that
Mother
problem abating, like, you know, basically cultural genocide. But hey, I don't swear.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Well, swearing's been linked to authenticity.
Well, we are as authentic as it gets.
For sure.
Well, thank you, Sam and Baby Gollum, for joining us this week. And thanks, everyone, for listening. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. As Mandy said, there are a lot of people suffering due to the government shutdown. So please lend a helping hand as you can. I'm Becky.
And I'm still Mandy.
And I'm probably still Sam.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.